Hi, today we are going to look at this tool that we have created to compare if 17 or 25 is done internally versus done by a consultant. We have created this tool for the ease of understanding, and for this particular case we have taken a lab size of about 10 employees and about up to 5 tests or calibration in one location. Now on the left side you can see here we have DIY done self-implementation, like in-house process of somebody wanting to do in-house, versus here information is given related to how or what is included by the consultant and the number of hours that each one would take. So we will start with something that is to be done in-house, and we have an average number of hours that are expected for somebody for a personnel to spend internally, and these are the minimum number of hours I would say that somebody would spend if they try to do it 17 or 25 internally. Now this is typically a management representative who basically may or may not have knowledge of 17 or 25 earlier or any kind of quality system before, and they will be the one who will be driving this project in your company. So the way the tool works is basically you fill the annual salary of the individual here, the management representative, and based on this expected number of hours, you will probably get an approximate cost that is being spent to get your project completed, and that you will get your total here. So it's a pretty simple calculator to use, but I would also like to go line by line item just to make sure that you understand what is included or what you need to do by yourself when you're trying to take up the project internally, and what's the outcome that you should expect. So let's assume, for the sake of understanding here, we will choose to say a management representative makes about $50,000 in a year. So approximately that's $25 an hour, and these are the costs that are associated with various steps and hours spent with the various steps in getting the 70 or 25 project completed. So let's start from line item 1, that because if you have no 17 or 25 standard in-house, you will have to purchase at the minimum a documentation kit, which will have the set of the right documents that you need to create and implement within your organization or in your lab. So that usually costs anywhere between 300 to $700,000. So we have approximated the cost of the document set that you could purchase online for $500. Then the management representative will be conducting a gap analysis. Basically, gap analysis is something that what existing processes you have or what test you have and what you need to or how you need to align it with the 17 or 25 standard. They will have that takes about average of about 2 days, about 16 hours to conduct or identify all the gaps in your existing process and create a report. Then the documents that you have purchased, the document kit that you have purchased has to be read, understood, and updated based on your lab process. That approximately takes about 40-45 man hours to complete. Now the implementation time is actually the one which takes the most time and effort to get the whole 7025 built in your system. So the documentation that you created in the step earlier to that has to be now taken into execution and has to be implemented step by step, and people have to be trained. Other people in the departments have to be trained to align or make their work aligned with the 17 or 25 standard. That involves, how the test or how the procedures have to be created, how the tests have to be run, etc. And that takes about 200 man hours for the implementation. Everybody has to learn, implement, etc. Then comes the internal audit. Now internal audit, you can do it, the management representative can do it by themselves, but the caveat here is that they need to be certified before they can do it. The reason being because when they get audited or by an external accreditation body comes to audit, they may ask for their certification at the minimum that they need to have an internal audit certificate from an accredited body. They need to have that certificate to provide as a proof that they are qualified to do an internal audit. So that takes about, well, the cost of the training purchase, so because you have to take it from a third party who can offer you the certification, that costs around $500 across the board. And then the man hour that goes in getting the personnel trained and certified takes about 3 days. So the cost of training the individual is about 24 hours, like 3 days. And then once they finish with the exam and they get the certification, then they can go and conduct the internal audit internally. Now, internal audit is generally, depending on the size of your lab, takes up to 2 days. And then the internal audit has to be done based on what they have learned and complete the internal audit process, and then a report has to be created. Again, this report has to be submitted along with your documentation to an external body so that they can review everything what has been done. And then there's something on uncertainty budget. I'm not sure how many people are aware about that, but that's an additional thing that is required in order to complete the 17/25 testing. The 17/25 accreditation, during the process of accreditation, they will ask you for the uncertainty budgets for the test or calibration that you are intending to get the accreditation for. So that is something which may need additional training, and then for making those budgets internally. Say up to 5, the management representative has to take some kind of training, and then they have to prepare the budget for that. So approximately 20-24 hours they will take to complete all the budgets. And then once all this thing is done, then you can set up external accreditation with an external accreditation body, and they will come and do an assessment where they will check all the documentation, implementation, your audit report, uncertainty budget, etc. And most likely, if you're doing it for the first time, there are high chances of you getting a finding. Finding is not something to be scared about, but it still needs to be fixed in order to get your accreditation for your lab. So it needs to be fixed by your management representative, which ideally, depending on the size of the finding, it can take up to 10 hours or even more, depending on where exactly are the findings created and how much needs to be fixed. So that are all the things that you will need to do if you want to do 17/25 internally. While if you hire a consultant, some of the things are ruled out already. Some of the costs are ruled out because it's already included, like documentation. The consultant has it already. They are able to train you on internal audit as well as they can complete an internal audit for you. And because they are certified already, so you do not really require an additional training for your personnel. And the reports can be accepted by the third party because the certification is given by the consultant. And as you can see that because of their expertise, the time it takes for a consultant actually cuts into half the time. So the speed of implementation is certainly an advantage. So here are some of the stats that we have figured out over a period of time, that self-implementation probably will cost you around 8 to 10K. Again, these are based on our criteria that we have used on this tool. It will definitely take you longer, anywhere between 6 to 12 months to complete a 17/25 project, because there is a new learning curve to be understood and implemented. Accuracy of lab management system maybe up to 80-90%, definitely, if you follow the steps, documentation and implementation, etc. The chances of finding are a little higher comparatively because there can be some things that are not correctly done, and it can be between 10 to 20%, and the fix can take up to a month depending on what size of finding you have received. Versus with the consultant, you can see the cost pretty much is the same. Time is reduced into half. Accuracy has gone up probably almost 95 to 100%. And if you end up get a finding, even if you end up getting a finding, it will be probably a small finding that can be fixed within a week. So here's the conclusion real quick. As you can see, there is no substantial cost savings by implementing ISO in-house. However, huge savings can be realized in terms of time and accuracy of ISO implementation, which can make year after year maintenance much easier. And also, consultant is able to provide the right training and guidance that will help you make a management system self-reliant in future. Now, one thing I would like to also add here, which I forgot to mention, is that once after you get your accreditation, you still have to maintain the system year after year, because your third-party auditor will come and check the system once yearly, at least once yearly. And that's called surveillance audit. And every 2 years you have recertification audit. So in order for you to pass the surveillance audits every year, you will still need to maintain the system correctly in a proper way so that there are less hiccups in subsequent years. And they want to see that processes get improved over a period of time, and that's the whole goal of ISO. So when a consultant basically builds your system, they keep into consideration that they want to make a system which is lean and also accurately customized to your lab system processes, which makes it easier for you to be able to maintain it down the line, and your personnel are trained by the consultant, so they also know how to do their task in a proper way with less hiccups that they will run into and less questions you will have to answer internally. So that's one of the additional advantage of having a consultant do it, because the maintenance time and cost, which is not there on this tool cost, can quickly add up in the subsequent years. And that is one of the advantage of doing it one versus another. So hope this calculator helps you to figure out what works best for your lab after putting down the numbers, and see which direction you would like to take with your lab. Good luck.